Hello, my name's Lena, and if you haven't been here before, I've spent the past few years on this channel reimagining my relationship with fashion in view of what I've learned about the climate crisis and the way we all need to adjust in the future. And it doesn't need to be bad, it doesn't need to be sad. I am really excited about the future of fashion, and I think you should be too. So if that sounds good, please do hit subscribe and stick around, because I'm about to undertake potentially my most ambitious clothes challenge yet. Especially for somebody British, I'm going to be spending the whole year naked. I'm not, it's fine. Don't panic. But I am going to be going on a ready-to-wear fast, or at least that's what the internet calls it. I don't love that phrase. Ready to wear isn't a phrase that I think everybody is familiar with. It literally just means like you haven't made the clothes, they are ready to wear. So that includes thrifted clothes or new clothes. And fast has eating connotations that it's not motivating me. I don't love it, but I remain thankful to the creators of the challenge, and I will leave their links below if you'd like to look at the history of this challenge and the way I am interpreting it, which is going to be through a sustainability lens. Now, when it comes to sustainability, I think there are two prongs. It's a two-pronged approach. There are two pincers in which we catch this problem. And the first one is the places we shop. So instead of buying new, especially from fast fashion brands, but new in general, to be honest, we prioritize using the stuff that already exists in the world without it having to be recycled into other stuff or use energy to remanufacture, just using what's already out there. And if that's not possible, or for treats, we go for ethically sourced, sustainably made, beautiful, independent, small business clothing. Now this pincer, I think I've got down. I have been buying so much thrifted stuff, so much secondhand, it almost has become second nature to me. It would never occur to me to load ASOS and look for something that I needed, because I found the ethical brands and the secondhand shopping habits that work for me. However, recently, because I'm ready to take it to the next level, I have been realizing that the other pincer is missing, and the other pincer is the pace and attitude with which we shop. And for me, that has started to become a little fast fashion flavored. I've started consuming at a pace that I don't think is realistic for the future. I've been buying stuff that I love and am excited about and work for me, but actually don't work with my lifestyle at all. Like the ratio of party dresses to actual parties I go to is a little funny. And because what I'm actually looking for, the combination of cut, material, colour, doesn't seem to actually exist, I end up buying a few almost perfect items, things that are a compromise to my artistic vision, if you can call it that, and I live with those for a little bit, but they don't actually scratch the itch, they don't actually satisfy the gap in my wardrobe, and I end up buying a few of them or using some for a little while and discarding them because the thing that I'm looking for hasn't been made. So for 1 year and 1 year only, to try and redress this balance, and also, to be honest, as an excuse to talk to you for the whole year more about different ways to approach fashion, I am not only giving up inviting ready-to-wear clothes into my life, including pants and bras, I know, but I'm also saying that if I really do want something, if there's something that I genuinely want, I have to make it. Now, if you've been following this channel before, you'll know that I'm on a bit of a self-taught sewing journey that is rickety at best. She's never made a pair of trousers, she's never made a buttonhole, but I have made some of these lovely garments, and I'm definitely on my way. And I would really like to accelerate my skills, challenge myself a little bit, and really get that motivation I need to start learning more about making my own wardrobe, making those things that I wish existed actually exist. Now, if that sounds a little bit extreme to you, let's get deeper into some of the reasons I'm doing this challenge. Reason number one, it sounds fun as fuck. I've been thinking about doing this challenge all year. I almost did it last year, if I'm honest, and I chickened out at the last moment, but I'm thinking about it a lot, and it just really excites me as a project. The second reason is that I'd really like to accelerate my skills, even if I sew a lot that year and then I end up not really sewing that much for the rest of my life. I have that skill in my piggy bank and I can pull it out whenever I need something. I have a video up here talking about why I think outsourcing those kinds of skills won't be in our future. It won't be as automatic for everybody to do. And I think it's good that we all start acquiring different making skills so we can make what we need locally. And for me, some low-hanging fruit, something I'm already working on, is sewing. And I'd love to have that skill in my sustainability tool belt, if you will. Reason number 3 is I think it will make me think more carefully about what I want. When I have to sink 10, 20, 40 hours into creating something for myself to wear, I'm gonna think more carefully about the colours. I'm gonna think more carefully about the cut. I'm gonna think more carefully about whether I want it at all or if I already have something else in my wardrobe that I'm gonna love. Number 5, improving my shot concentration. I don't think much more needs to be said on that. We've all got a little issue with concentration, I think, in the era of scrolling, and I think that having a long project to really focus on is great. And that links to reason number 6, which is getting offline more and getting off a screen, being able to do something with my hands, and in the evenings doing that, at the weekends, making sure I'm doing something really engaging and creative that isn't on my phone or my computer, I think would be very, very good for my brain. Number 7 is a more strategy-based approach. And if you've worked in marketing like I have, that part of your brain never really goes away. And that is that doing this project is a non-confrontational way of being able to start conversations, not only online, but in real life with the people that I love about the climate crisis. The climate crisis is something I find really hard to talk about. You'll know because I have a whole podcast about how I find it hard to talk about. And clothes feel like a really unassuming, welcoming way of doing that. When somebody says, oh, I like your dress, where did you get it? You can say, oh, I made it. And they go, wow. And you can say, oh, actually, I'm doing this whole project about it because I've realized that my relationship to clothes was a bit fucked up and I want to do this because of the climate stuff. And you know, it feels like more of a, hey, let me tell you a story about me, rather than a, are you wearing Primark? Problematic. Reason number 8 is healing the internalized misogyny of not being a practical person. That's how I feel about myself a lot, and it's actually only through learning skills like sewing and knitting that I've realized that I actually do have a bit of a spatially aware mathematical mind. I can put things together and build things, and I genuinely just didn't feel like I was that kind of person, whether it's to do with upbringing or culture or whatever, but I do feel like there's part of my brain that does work in that practical measurements, assembling things way, and I'd love to be able to access that more. And so far it's been very healing for me to take up something like sewing, which might be ironic because it is a very gendered hobby in some ways, although also not. Video essay may be coming, but I think when we exist in these transitionary traditional spaces that we feel are progressive but still have like echoes of the past, I have often existed in a binary to somebody. I grew up with just one brother, and I feel like we really existed in the binary. He was the one with the toolkit. I was the one with a little fake plastic microphone pretending to be a pop star. Like, those were our roles that we assigned ourselves, arguably. And I feel like whenever it came to practical stuff, it strayed towards him, and now I find myself in a relationship with a man, and I also start defaulting to him being the practical one, him being able to sort out the mathematical measuring, assembling kind of tasks, and I'm not having it anymore. I need to challenge myself and push myself out of that box. I imagine there's lots of different ways that people can do that, but I am picking sewing because I also want cute clothes. And then finally, the challenge of making clothes that fit me, both physically and mentally. The tyranny of wearing ready-to-wear clothes that are made by other people with other body types in mind, and I'm sure you have all experienced this, kind of makes you feel like there might be something wrong with your body, whether that's proportions or size or just the general vibe. I wonder if my psyche will change once I really learn to look at my own body, look at what would fit it, really be able to imagine with much less restrictions what I actually think looks good on it, and be able to go from there. I'm really interested to see if my psyche changes a little bit, because I do think we all deserve a tiny little bit of luxury. And the way the economy is going, none of us are getting a personal tailor anytime soon. But if I could be my own personal tailor for a minute, measure myself up for a suit and make something that's genuinely made for me, wouldn't that be cool? Now, enough with all of the optimistic, this is what the reasons are, it's gonna be amazing. Let's get on to the rules, the things I've got to stick to put in place. Will I fail? Hopefully not. If I do fail, will I be honest about it and pack it in a psychological way with you in a video? Probably mostly yes, definitely. Rule number 1, there is no upper or lower limit to how many garments or items that I make. The only rule is that I have fun. If I end up not really feeling like sewing for the whole year, that's also totally fine, or knitting for that matter. If I just want to learn how to love the clothes that I already have and rewear them in different ways, great. That's allowed. There's no pressure or number. This is not Goodreads for clothes. If I end up remaking my whole wardrobe, that also sounds really worthwhile and like a boot camp in an amazing new skill. Either way, I'm happy, that's fine. The second rule is I have to look for secondhand fabric where possible, but if I can't find a secondhand fabric that fits the project, I have to try my freaking hardest to then shop small and local. We're avoiding chains, we're avoiding shipping things from very, very far away, and that's where the sustainability aspect comes in. However, I do have a reel talking about how I think that the act of sewing a garment in general makes it so much more sustainable that where the fabric comes from shouldn't be our immediate focus. But I would like it to be the first thing I default to looking at first. Rule number 3, it doesn't include accessories like belts, shoes, bags, or tights. I am not about to become Hilary Swank at the end of P.S. I Love You. Let's not reach for the moon when the stars are barely in sight. However, it does include, and I thought about this a lot, I'm ready to do it, it does include socks, knickers, and bras. Now, if I had, I'll just TMI, if I had a bigger rack, something that genuinely required serious medical architecture, then I would not be including bras. However, I don't have that problem. I can live in bralettes and flimsy beginner structured stuff. That's okay. And I also, and you need to remind me of this if I start wavering, I own enough sports bras. I do. I own 3. I exercise 3 days a week. I see no need to have more. I'm not a professional athlete. That's fine. So don't, if I just start making excuse, don't let me. Number 4, I am allowed to receive gifts, but not from brands, and I'm not allowed to request anything from people. I can't just be like, Craig, will you buy me that t-shirt? And I also have to tell everybody in my immediate life that might buy me a present at some point in the year that I'm doing this challenge. They just have to have that knowledge, and then the playing field is level. Rule number 5 is that modification of clothes I already own is allowed, nay, encouraged. If I want to modify what I already have and upcycle it, or even gel two things together like I did with this dress and this shirt this year, then that is amazing, would love that. However, I am not allowed to buy new to me items and just upcycle them a little bit, just modify them a little bit. I think that's cheating. But if I do want to use thrifted clothing as fabric and make a new item out of it, like really just use the fabric and restructure it into something else, that is allowed. And that will be up to my own discretion, but I should be honest with myself about where that line is. I'm sure I'll start learning where that line is as I go. Rule number 6 is borrowing is allowed, nay, encouraged. If I want to text my friends and borrow something for an event or for some kind of video or something, I'm totally allowed to do that, but I'm not allowed to rent things for money. And then the last rule, and I'm putting this in for myself because my weight has been fluctuating a lot in the past couple of years, and I think that's an important caveat to acknowledge. I am allowed, if I have something that I already own, but there is no way of altering it to the size that I currently am, then I am allowed to switch it out and use Vinted to sell what I have and buy the literal equivalent of it in a different size. So down to brand, cut, color, it has to be identical, but I am allowed to switch it out in the secondhand pool so that it would be as if I had the same item. Now, because this isn't all about pass and fail, it's also about the journey, I've made myself a little bingo card. These are all things that I would love to do, and even if I don't do them all, if I can do 3 in a row or 3 diagonally, that feels like a big win to me as well. So these ones are my personal ones. I've got sew with jersey, so like stretchy material, never done that. Make a crotch. Never made a crotch before, whether that's trousers or shorts or whatever. Make a crotch, because that scares me. Buttonholes, terrifying. make a birthday outfit for myself. I think it'd be really cool, which my birthday's in May, so I'll have 5 months to practice and plan it. Making something that I can wear on my birthday that I'm really proud of, I think that would be really cool. Make some knickers. I would love to make my own knickers. I've never been able to find a sustainable and ethical company that makes knickers I actually want to wear. There's always something wrong with them, and I know in my head what I want. Knit in colour work, which means you alternate between 2 colours in a single row, which enables you to do stuff like put lettering on your knitting or make a pattern or a picture. I would love to learn how to do that. Make socks also. Looks easy if you've never knitted before, but when you're a knitter, you'll realise that looks terrifying. Visible mending. I would love to learn more about visible mending and mending some of the clothes I already have. And then, I would put make a crotch twice. I'm really worried about making a crotch, everyone. So you can tell me what I should put in this spot instead. What is wrong with me? Now, I am going to call this challenge, which is similar to the Ready to Wear Fast challenge, but with sustainability in mind, I'm going to call it my year of make do. I am making do with what I have, but I'm also making, do. I'm having a year of making. If you would like to join me on this challenge, there are 2 different streams. There is the make do, as in you're not a sewist or a knitter, you're not interested in making your own clothes, but you would like to have a year of not buying as much, and you can use your own perimeters and your own rules and your own bingo cards for that. Or you can do the make, do and join me in giving up ready to wear clothes and also learning more about making your own stuff from scratch. I'm gonna mainly be on Instagram, and I'm gonna be using the hashtag #myyear of make do. So if you want to join in with those community chats and share what you're doing, please use that hashtag. We will find each other. If you would like further support in my Patreon, the Gumption Club, I'm going to be running some on-platform Patreon chats with the 2 streams as well. I'll be very present on there and sharing some more sneaky peeks behind the scenes stuff, and also taking requests for videos you'd like me to make throughout the year. So if you'd like to join the lovely small community of people who tip me for these videos so they can keep happening, I'll leave the links to find out more about that below. You also get a free podcast every week from me and access to a secret Facebook group where we chat all the time. So there's lots of reasons to join the Patreon, but particularly in 2024. Now, the last question you might have is that, Lena, isn't this a little drastic? Isn't this like you could just cut down, you could just learn slowly? Yeah, I could, but I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm quite a drastic person. But jokes aside, from all the books that I've been reading about the climate recently for my podcast, No Books on a Dead Planet, I've really started feeling like this is the time for drastic measures. This isn't the time to do one-off gestures or dabble. This is the time to think, what in reality will the future be like in 10 or 15 years? And how can I reimagine the industries that I interact with and start acting like they're already here? Some days I'm sure I'll wake up and I'll really want a specific top or really want to replace something that I really love, and I'll feel like what I've done is a bit drastic. It's a bit melodramatic. But other days I know that I'll wake up and feel like this is a pretty fluffy, diluted response to what's actually going on, and that actually not having access to new to me clothes is the least of our worries. Thank you so much for watching this video. Whether you plan to join me in taking up the challenge or not, I would really love if you stuck around and witnessed the absolute shenanigans that are about to go on this channel. And I would love to hear your suggestions or requests for videos that I can make, especially if they're challenges to do with re-wearing your clothes, as well as stuff that I'm making. I'd love to make some more challenge videos about rediscovering parts of my wardrobe and making it feel exciting, even though I've already seen and I've already worn it all. Here's to 2024. What have I done? Frog snog out.